I welcome you all to MOOC's course entitled Community Engagement and Social Responsibility. I will be discussing Unit 5 today, entitled Research and Innovation in Community Engagement Related Issues. This unit has two modules. The second module is about rural distress, rural poverty, impact of COVID-19 on migrant laborers, and mitigation of disaster. Module 2, Part 3. In third part of Module 2, we will be studying about consequences of rural distress and suggested solutions to it. In the previous part of the module, we studied causes of rural distress.
Now, what are the consequences of rural distress? Reasons are known. Reasons are climatic conditions. So, these reasons are leading to the consequences. What consequences does rural distress have? You might be thinking the consequences are obvious. The consequences itself is a rural distress. So, consequences in rural distress can be seen in the form of farmers' suicides, which are increased in states with insufficient irrigation facilities, where the rainfall is fluctuating. The agriculture workforce is dwindling. The workforce in agriculture is shifting to some other areas to work so that they can sustain their lives. They are no more doing agriculture. The agriculture generation is switching. The next generation of any family would not like to continue with the agriculture. A farmer would never now want that his son should be a farmer. Rather, he should go outside, study abroad, look for a job and work. So they don't want that the pains they take as a farmer, now they say it is a pain, they should not be continued. Rural suffering is actually leading to major exodus to the urban cities. People are migrating from rural areas to urban areas and hence adding up the burden of the urban cities and the other cities. So, according to 2011 census, first time urban India grew faster than the rural India because the landless are most vulnerable. Their income to contribution ratio is negative. That means even they are not able to cover their variable cost or the cost of the seeds. Here I am referring to the cost which keeps on fluctuating with the level of production. So the landholders who are producing, who are farmers, they are even not able to cover the contribution from their sales. That means they are not even they are not able to cover their variable cost. The contribution is negative. The consequences of rural distress can also be seen from a table which talks about share of output from agriculture in GDP. Where over the years, if you would see, how can I say that agriculture is dwindling or people are switching from agriculture to other areas? The table shows that. From 1981 to 82, where the share of agriculture in the GDP was 29.6%, which is now on 11.8%. And in 2013, it is showing up that there is a huge decline. What the agriculture used to share as a percentage in GDP, it's now only 11%, 11.8%. These figures are shocking. These figures are actually not surprising, but are required to be focused that furthermore there should be no such decrease, because unless we have farmlands, unless we have agriculture, there is no healthy life which can be led. So it becomes important for us to address the problem of rural distress. Suggested solutions to the to the problem of financial distress can be: agriculture reforms that increase the farm productivity and income of the farmer should be enforced. Second, subsidies for the purchase of agricultural equipments, fertilizers and insecticides by small and marginal farmers should be there, so that the marginal farmers are able to at least minimize their cost of production. If they are able to minimize the cost of production, they would be able to at least have a comparable or achievable target that they can sustain their lives. The Rashtriya Swasthya Bima Yojana could expand medical insurance coverage even for the farmers. If there is a mishap in the family regarding a suicide by the farmers, then those can be helped with some amount. So the farmers, the people who are left after the farmers can their lives can be sustained. One of the most important point what we need to work on as a team, as a community, as an engaged community is create an awareness among all the farmers to move from pesticides to organic. We need to make them aware that now it's the need and their returns can be high if they work on organic farming. So it is lesser use of pesticides, more relying on the uh, organic matter or the fertilizers which are not harmful, which are going to yield quality products is important. And another thing which is important for us to understand that creating a culture of farmer support which can be extended by urban community, because we have seen the growth rate of urban is much more than the growth rate of rural areas. So it becomes important for us that the rural areas are not left behind. They are not put there in the condition of the distress. And how can we do that? We need to define and we need to develop a culture of farmer support. Farmer support, not financially here I am referring to, but what I am referring to, but to have such a model which talks about inclusive growth, where farmers' produce can be sold at least a price. Farmers can get at least a price what they are looking for. So it is not anymore relying on the MSPs. It is not anymore relying on the government to come into picture and help the farmers, but it is us who need to come as a participant in the research and work on a model that how can we help a farmer to have its sustenance. This solution would help the farmer to have a perpetual growth for a number of years and would even have himself to grow equitable. There are certain more solutions which can have, we can have a happy farmer, a smiling farmer if we see there, because we want to see smiles on the faces of the farmers who are relieved from the stress of financial distress. So agriculture reforms like which talk about improvement in the warehouse facilities, improvement in the irrigation facilities, more income and profits through value addition and supply chain. The supply chain of agriculture produce is required to be improved. The marginal returns to the farmer should be bare minimum, at least the more than the supply chain people who are getting into supply chain and taking up their own share. The government schools and hospitals should improve the quality of education and health services. That means creating awareness that how organic farming can be a benefit and can be a tool to have their lives with prosperity. To alleviate the rural hardship, beneficial employment opportunities should be created. Here, I am not referring to a state where farmer can change his occupation from farming to other things. But what am I referring to? Helping the farmer to understand that the farm diversification would increase its returns. So farm diversification means increasing the crop production on one farmland, maybe two crop in a year. Usually it happens two crop, but it needs to be increased to three crop in a year. And apart from that, farming of livestock can be done so that the manure which comes from the livestock can be put into the fields, and fields can be again based on the organic farming. So it is important not only the agriculture, we can talk about not many kinds of agriculture, we can talk about fisheries, agriculture with the same farmland, with the part of the farmland. But you may be having mind in yes, what is how it can be done? Provided with the resources, provided with the knowledge, provided with the technical support, this is possible. So, bringing up the agriculture norms to improve the farmer's livelihood are not sufficient. What is important is the education of farmers, the awareness of farmers to move from pesticides to organic, and the community support altogether would help the farmers to grow together. Public spending on rural infrastructure and again is seen to be a suggested solution.
Therefore, in this part, we studied about consequences of rural distress and suggested solutions to it. In the next part, we will study about rural poverty and its causes.
Thank you all for joining.